Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, safety a top priority as the British Colonial Hilton prepares to reopen tomorrow. Our Kyle Joaquin takes us behind the scenes of the reopening of Baha Mar. Plus, we're one step closer to the establishment of a permanent voter register. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the British Colonial Hilton reopens tomorrow after suspending operations in July. Jared Higgs visited the property today where executives are stressing cleanliness standards and welcoming members of the public.
Deirdre Cargill has been out of work since the end of July, so returning to her housekeeping job at the British Colonial Hilton comes as a relief.
It's very special, very, very special. And I'm overjoyed.
Cargill and dozens of employees are preparing to welcome guests to the hotel for the first time since the end of July. It'll open its doors on Tuesday morning. General Manager Pablo Casal says tomorrow's opening is important and the hotel will have industry-leading cleanliness standards. Common items like magazines and pens have been taken out of rooms. There's contactless check-in and measures are in place to guarantee guests that their room hasn't been entered since it was cleaned.
We are going to maintain the social distancing. We are changing, our offerings to make sure that they are complying with the new reality, right?
The hotel will open fully with the exception of its buffet. Conference rooms will be available for weddings and other social events adhering to COVID regulations.
Locals are more than welcome to come. Our restaurants, our day passes at the beach. Again, following all protocols and social distancing and wearing masks, especially in public areas.
Guests who rent hotel rooms and conference rooms at the Hilton can be assured that they're the first ones to enter those rooms once they've been cleaned and sanitized, event ready. By Clean Stay assures that push your door open and has a sticker on it, you're the first one in to a clean, sanitized facility. Hilton will welcome back a fraction of its workforce as bookings remain slightly low. Casal says the health situation in the United States isn't helping, but they're staying optimistic.
Once we can show that we can continue to keep the virus at bay here in the island, I think people is going to gain confidence and start. The bookings are going to start, ramping up.
Meanwhile, Cargill says getting back to work is like a renewed lease on life.
It's a blessing for real. It's a blessing to be back to work, to have a job to begin with, and to know that I'm alive, and that God has blessed me and that give me another chance to have another chance at my jobs.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Thanks, Jared. Well, it's back to work for 1,800 Baha Mar employees as the resort prepares for its reopening on Thursday. In this first part of the series, Back to Business with our Kyle Joaquin.
Jumping up and down, we are outside playing Christmas music, excited to see everyone. They're just so excited to be back to work.
After being out of work for nearly 9 months, it's back to the office for 1,800 Baha Mar employees. When we spoke to Baha Mar President Graham Davis last month, he mentioned that 1,500 employees were set to return for phase 1 of the resort's reopening. However, Senior VP of Human Resources Kirsty Cowper says they've bumped that figure up to 1,800.
It's spread across the campus. Majority, of course, is within the food and beverage and the rooms division. We are having Hyatt is our hotel that's opening first, but of course a lot of our restaurants on the casino floor as well. So it's a mixture around. Casino, obviously we're the largest casino in the Caribbean, so we are bringing back majority of our casino staff as well.
Preparation is underway for the reopening of the Grand Hyatt and Casino on Thursday. After paying out more than $75 million in ex gratia payments, as well as full health benefits, the resort is welcoming returning as well as some new employees. Cowper explained that many of those who were laid off a few months ago have also been brought back.
So right now we've called back all our associates that we had furloughed or laid off. That's the first phase, as we call it. As we're opening more of our hotels and restaurants, we'll be calling back more people.
Prior to coming back to work, employees do a mandatory online training for COVID-19 precautions, then take a COVID-19 test. Once they return to the property after testing negative, they go through a new norm orientation. They then take their antigen tests weekly, and walking in the office, they get their temperature checked.
Before you come back, you get tested through a drive-through. So we did it to make it easier and almost imitate what Blake Road did for Doctors Hospital. We brought them on site and we did it here at Grand Hyatt Porte-Cochere. Then from there, once you come back, every week is done on property back of house, yes.
As they're just 3 days away from welcoming guests back to the resort, CalPER says employees are very excited to be back to work and creating a memorable experience for visitors.
They want to make sure they're following all the protocols, which is great from our standpoint, but because they just want to keep the Baha Mar open and keep it in the direction that we were going at.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Thanks, Kyle. These reopenings come as the country yesterday recorded 16 new COVID-19 cases, 14 on New Providence and 2 on Grand Bahama. Meanwhile, the Disaster Reconstruction Authority breaking ground on a new community center and hurricane shelter in Central Pines, Abaco today. Multiple shelters on that island were badly damaged or destroyed during Hurricane Dorian.
During a hurricane or any disaster, the Abaco Center will convert into a shelter that can accommodate 800 people. And we anticipate other shelters being constructed in Abaco and Grand Bahama.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says the center is designed to be efficient and self-sufficient.
The Abaco Center includes standalone sustainable elements such as solar-driven power supply and distribution, and backup power generators powering low-voltage energy, saving ultra-long-lasting LED lighting. The center includes water-saving technology with backup storage to maintain operations for at least 5 days.
And there's a $10,000 prize for the school on Abaco that comes up with the best name for the center. Well, clear skies outside our Robinson Road studios. Here's Greg Thompson in the Weather Center. Greg?
Thanks, Christina. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Beautiful conditions on the outside. Those temperatures are a little warmer into the mid-70s. 74 is our current temperature with just a few clouds outside, so we'll call it mild. Your winds are going to be light and variable for the rest of the night. Your feels-like temperature around 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Satellite-wise, across the area, not much happening. We do have that ridge of high pressure jutting in across the area, but we are watching a front that's expected getting here to the northwest Bahamas later tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Thanks, Greg. Still to come on Our News, a 67-year-old woman faces 88 fraud-related charges. But first, the Bahamas is one step closer to a permanent voter register. Stay with us.
Just when you thought the year would end drought, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Chill. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
The Parliamentary Elections Amendment Bill 2020 unanimously passed in the Senate today, paving the way for a permanent voter register. But how will it impact Grand Bahama and Abaco residents who were displaced following Hurricane Dorian last year? Jasmine Brown reports.
Opposition Senator Michael Darville was candid in his comments as he said the advantage of a permanent register far outweighs the disadvantage. However, he said a number of technicalities must be addressed.
This is a really strange situation, and it has to do with the disaster. These individuals spend most of the day at home at their destroyed dwelling, trying to pick up the pieces, pecking, trying to get their residence up and going. But they actually sleep in residences with family and friends at night.
Hurricane Dorian tore through Grand Bahama and Abaco in September last year, displacing thousands of residents and leaving many with the prospect of rebuilding. Darville noted that more than a year later, following the monster storm, many people are still picking up the pieces.
Given the fact that the voters' registration is currently based on building where you reside, would the continuous register take into account this important fact Or will these persons be excluded from the register because you cannot determine where they really live?
The official death toll of Hurricane Dorian more than a year later is 76. Meantime, the missing persons list has been a particularly contentious issue in the aftermath of the storm, with several government authorities giving conflicting figures on more than one occasion. At last report, National Security Minister Marvin Dames said 279 people were missing. However, Darville said that the number of missing people remains unclear.
The amendments speak specifically to deaths, but not missing persons. Now, we keep hearing a lot of information about this missing person list and the amount of deaths in Abaco, and some reports indicate that it may be thousands, it may be above 700, we don't know. And we would like to find out, we need to know who these people are because we don't want them to be popping up at the day of the election.
Meantime, the bill notes that a person registered as a voter on the current register shall remain registered as a voter entitled to vote at an election on the continuous register unless his name is removed from the register by the parliamentary commissioner because the person has either died, is found ineligible to vote, or has an objection to his registration as a voter. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, a former personal finance service officer at the Royal Bank of Canada's JFK location today facing 88 fraud-related charges in the Magistrates Court. 67-year-old Irma Mitchell of Vernon Street Kennedy subdivision was represented by attorney Hiram Mangra, appearing before Magistrate Ambrose Ambrister. Mitchell was charged with 18 counts of falsification of accounts, 1 count of conspiracy to commit fraud, 23 counts of forgery, 23 counts of uttering a forged document, and 23 counts of fraud by false pretenses. Mitchell is accused of obtaining $368,900 by reason of her employment. The alleged acts are said to have occurred between April 2, 2008 and December 15, 2009. Mitchell entered 88 not guilty pleas to the charges and was granted emergency bail in the amount of $9,900. She returns to court May 25, 2021. And 57 people serving time at the Bahamas Department of Corrections have been released early so far in 2020 after consideration from the Prerogative of Mercy Committee. National Security Minister Marvin Dames says those individuals were low-risk offenders released for good behavior, but he notes that the committee hopes to do more.
We're hoping to review another listing before the end of the year and give those persons who would be considered a new start to the new year.
This as the Rehabilitation of Offenders Committee is doubling down on its appeal for first-time offenders and offenders under 21 years of age to apply to have their records expunged. Since the committee's launch in September 2019, 25 applications have been considered and have already been expunged or are in process. Committee chairperson Paul Farquharson says more than 700 applications have gone out. There's more news on the way, but first, here's your RF Market Watch.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When Our News comes back from the break, seasonal vendors say they're ready for what the season brings. Plus, how sports is getting the University of the Bahamas back on track. The details when Our News returns.
Just when you thought the year would end dry, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Chair. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
This is Our News. Welcome back. Former Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Pratt weighing in on the country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, saying the country must unite in crisis. Bethany McDermott reports.
With the COVID-19 pandemic still wreaking havoc in the Bahamas, former Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Mother Pratt says there should be unity on the political front and the government should be leading the way.
All hands should be on deck, headed and led by the government.
Pratt, who was also the first female Minister of National Security, said the Bahamas must mature politically.
When persons want to help, there is a barrier because I'm on the other side of the political divide. When disaster strikes, we're all in it together at that moment. We have no time to ask what side of the political divide you're on.
In responding to the hardship brought on by COVID-19, Pratt says a community-based approach is needed.
Number one, we have to take it community by community because some community are better off than others.
Now noting that the Bahamas is vulnerable to natural disasters like major hurricanes or even another pandemic, Pratt says funding should be set aside just in case something like this happens again.
Listen, I call this a catastrophe. In case of this kind of disaster, we would have funding available so that we would be able to assist our people.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Well, businesses are sharing their projections for the Christmas holiday. While some are optimistic things will be merry and bright, others aren't so sure. Jillian Gray has that.
Constant lockdowns and ever-changing restrictions have caused many businesses to take a hard hit this year. It's causing some to have a gloomy outlook on sales for the Christmas season.
So previous years, I don't think that we're going to be as busy or sell as much, but I think we'll do pretty good.
CTI Cellular sales clerk Tennille Thompson said it's been a slow ramp-up since they've reopened. Now, while some businesses are scaling back, one business is foraging ahead. Miniso manager Oquendo Lewis said they opened their doors on the 31st of August, adding they weren't prepared to let the pandemic stop their 2 years of hard work.
So far, everything has been pretty positive. Outside, for a few curbside moments that were a little difficult.
The gift shop sells knickknacks for kids and trinkets for adults. Lewis said pandemic fatigue may contribute to an increase in sales this month.
I think the people are just, maybe tired of the pandemic for the most part.
Across the street from the mall, side road vendors are too optimistic things will pick up closer to Christmas. For many of them, this week is their first week setting up. Lana Smith, who has been a vendor for more than 20 years, said while some believe sales may take a nosedive because of the pandemic, her past experiences tell her otherwise.
Last year when we had the massive talk and we say things wouldn't be as good, but that was my best year last year.
Her neighbor, Catherine Weeks, is just as positive. With toys piled high, she was welcoming customers even as we spoke to her.
Yesterday, business was okay, but today, see, the customers coming out now. So that's why I can't talk to you all too long, because I got to go try, pull them in. Hi, lady and gent, come, let me show you something.
Overall, business owners say they're just happy that things are getting back to some sense of normalcy and say they're eager to see what the remainder of the Christmas season will bring. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Thanks, Jillian. Meanwhile, a step in the right direction as the Cynthia Mother Pratt Foundation donated 600 pairs of shoes to the Montel Heights community today.
If we could put a smile on somebody's face, some child's face for the Christmas, it will speak volumes of what we're trying to do. Because I know what it felt like when Christmas came around and there was nothing offered. And so the children love these Crocs. I don't know what I love about them, but yeah.
Area MP Glenys Hannah Martin and Bishop Lawrence Roll thanked Pratt for her work throughout inner city communities. In other news, the University of the Bahamas trying to get back to normal through sports programs. Marcellus Hall tells us more in Our Sports.
Thanks, Christina. Welcome to Our Sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Let's get you rolling, shall we? And speaking of rolling, University of the Bahamas is getting their athletic programs rolling once again, albeit with some different protocols in place. Let's take a look. Track and field is one of the first sports to return to active competition, and the University of the Bahamas team is getting ready for action. In the wake of new protocols for activities, the team has been working out in the mornings and afternoons. Head coach Adnal Roll keeping the group small and is working on getting the team competition ready. He thanks the athletic training team for putting in protocols that are allowing them and the rest of the Mingos teams to return to practice safely.
Thanks to Sasha and the athletic trainers, we're able to put in some things into place to, help us to be able to train safely, social distancing, and, following the protocols. But for the most part, I think it kind of worked in our favor where we're able to train in a smaller group now, where the athletes were able to now get that one-on-one. And I think it kind of benefited. So, it made me now it's good that I could now adjust the amount of a person training at one time.
Meanwhile, the UB men's basketball team has returned to practice as well, following strict protocols to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The team practices primarily in the morning at the open-air courts at the university under the direction of head coach Bacchus Rowe. The team was in the middle of the semifinal round of the New Province Basketball Association postseason when sports worldwide were halted because of the global pandemic. Rowe says the team is excited to be able to get back to the sport safely.
We're excited to be back, really. We've had a long layoff. We try to do some stuff via Zoom with conditioning and training. But we're excited to be back on the floor. It's outside in the open air. Safety is the number one concern. And too much caution cannot be displayed at this time given the pandemic. However, things are going a bit slow, and we're trying to just bring the guys on real slowly. Of course, in this environment, each player has a ball. If you notice, each player has a rim, and we work in small groups, 4 to 5 groups a day. And it's been a challenge, but it's been exciting. Really, we're excited to be back and just have our hands on the ball again. As a basketball player, you like to stay involved, stay in the gym. You like to stay around the game. So it's good that we can come out and do this.
So there you have it, a full check on what's going on with the University of the Bahamas. Let's not forget, Monday Night Football action comes your way. You probably have to find a different source for your outcome because I'm going on vacation for a couple of days. So I'm going to say right now, Merry Christmas. All right, so that's your check on sports. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Marcellus. Merry Christmas to you, too. And Christmas comes early for some Seabreeze residents. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Just when you thought the year would end dry, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Cheer. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
Welcome back to Our News. Gorgeous conditions in the capital over the weekend. Here's Greg back in the weather studio with a look ahead.
Thanks again, Christina. Our second look at weather is being brought to you tonight by InfoGrow. Outside our studios on our satellite view, high pressure remains in charge, generating pleasant weather across the island. Frontal boundary across southern Florida expected to get into the northwest Bahamas and eventually stall. And then we expect the second frontal boundary to get in here sometime by the end of the week. Your boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be light and variable. Seas will be running less than 3 feet over the ocean, while in the central and southeastern islands, we expect the winds to be out of the east, the southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 7:23 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Saturday. That's a look at our weather. Have a great night, everyone.
Member of Parliament for Seabreeze, Lanisha Roll, hosting a Christmas giveaway in her constituency over the weekend. Residents got the usual ham and turkey and a few other gift packages.
It is important so that people realize that we celebrate where we are, what we have, and we have hope for the future. And so that is what this is all about, coming together and giving hope to the people.
Well, that does it for Our News tonight. I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.